We go now to the Orange County Register building where standing by we have political reporter Norberto Santana. How you doing there, Norberto? Glad to have you on.
Ed, Ann, thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Let's start first of all. We can't pass this up. Vice President Dick Cheney in town. How'd it go?
Oh, it's quite an event. Even though the Vice President's interest in secrecy kind of got popped a little bit earlier this week, people found out that he was coming to visit a fundraiser at the Casa Pacifica in San Clemente, which is kind of amazing because with this administration's poll numbers kind of going into the cellar, I think the last time I looked, the Bush administration was at 30%. Cheney himself was at 17%. But this may be the one place in America where the VP actually gets a warm welcome. It's kind of an interesting dichotomy between what you hear from Democrats and Republicans. Many of those that on the host committee, which was for, it's actually a fundraiser for Representative Ken Calvert, one of our Riverside cousins, say that they expect him to be heralded as a rock star. They say that in Republican circles, Cheney's brand of conservatism is still very, very popular.
Okay, Ken Calvert, why do you think he would make the decision, or was it his people who decided that Cheney would be a good person to have here, or maybe they didn't have much of a choice? Did he sort of say, oh, I'll be there?
Well, that's a great point. I mean, again, when I talk to some of the Republican movers and shakers, I mean, they say that amongst conservative circles, Dick Cheney is, again, somebody, Adam Probolski told me, he is a rock star. They love this guy.
Okay.
Norberto, kind of curious, why you were having some trouble getting information. Did you ever find out why it was so difficult?
Well, you know, again, that's one of those things that almost goes back to this administration's sort of penchant for secrecy. No, it really never made any sense at all. I mean, I did a couple of blogs kind of saying, you know, if you ask about a Cheney visit to Orange County, you won't just get a cold shoulder, you'll get an Arctic shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't know if that involves, to some degree, some of the security requirements with the Secret Service. Another possibility is that, again, Cheney is a good fundraiser in some inside circles, but in a broader perspective, I think there could be some concern. Again, the Republican brand is in a lot of trouble this year on a national scale. But, you know, it's like that old Tip O'Neill, the former House Speaker, saying that he used to say, all politics ultimately is local.
Right. Good point. Okay. Now, speaking of the Republicans and political news at this point, here in Orange County, Saddleback will be hosting John McCain as well as Barack Obama. And little did Saddleback maybe guess there would be such a great outpouring of need for tickets. Do you think they're kind of like the dog who finally caught the tire on the car, didn't know what to do with it once the two said, yes, we'd love to come, and now we have to dole out tickets to these people?
Well, that does seem to be what's happening to them, and it goes to, I think in some ways it highlights some of the interesting aspects about Rick Warren, both as an evangelical pastor and also somebody who dabbles in politics and sort of as a TV personality. You're right. Initially, they said that people from the public would be welcomed. Now it turns out that many of their own congregation are the ones that are the ticket holders, and it sort of goes to this sort of. In some ways, the critiques of him in evangelical circles, that he's a little bit too much of a rock star, a little bit too much of an entrepreneur, dabbles too much in politics, which of course he answers back and says, you know, that's exactly the type of evangelical preaching and a linkage to religion which is resonating these days. And
Okay, we got 30 seconds left. I want to ask you one quick question. Our new sheriff has tightened the concealed gun policy. Can you give us a little outline on that?
Fascinating stuff. The one thing that Mike Corona probably did that is hugely popular in Orange County, which was hand out guns to those that want them. She's taken that in some ways, people say, brought an LA standard. It's much tighter. People now have to go psychological exams, medical exams, in some cases maybe even polygraph exams. So we'll probably see that level of CCW permits go from 1,100, which is a huge amount for an urban county, and I'm sure that's going to go down significantly.
Okay, time will tell. Thanks for joining us, Norberto. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.
Thank you.